Hello everyone. In today's video, I'm just going to be teaching you how to make a basic time stop effect for your Roblox game. Now, I'm just going to say that this tutorial isn't for absolute beginners. If you don't know what you're doing at all, I'd highly recommend watching like maybe Alvin Blox's tutorial. I'll put some resources in the description. Um, as well as the code. I'll pin the comment with the code in it if you just want to copy that, because I understand some people do just want to copy the code and aren't interested in learning. But if you have like some scripting knowledge and want to learn how to do this, I'm going to be giving a quick tutorial. So the first thing we're going to need to do is add a sound to our workspace. It won't work unless it's in the workspace. Like if you add it to sound service, you actually can't play it while it's in sound service. I mean, you can hit playing, but you can't play it from a script while it's in sound service. So you could put it there and then move it out when you need to play it, but just for the sake of convenience right now, we're going to put it in workspace. And I'm just going to rename this TS sound, just short for time stop sound, but you can go ahead and name it whatever you want. And then in replicated storage, we're going to need a remote event. I'm going to call this remote event time stop event. Okay. So we're going to need two things. We're going to need a local script to determine when a player presses, we're going to say when a player presses E, and then send that to a server script where then we can stop time. Because if we just stop time on a local script, only that player who pressed E will see it, but everyone else will just see the game as normal and they won't even be frozen. So we're going to want to send it to a server script. And if like I'm not going to be explaining it entirely. Like I said, this isn't for absolute beginners. But if you do not know about it and you want to learn more, it's called remote events. I think there's a lot of great tutorials on YouTube for that. Starter player script is what I'm going to be putting it in. So we're basically just going to get user input service. So here, I already have my script made here, so I can just go over it. Okay, so local user input service is equal to game get service and then user input service. So if you're not familiar with what we're doing right now, we're basically just getting the services of the game. This is pretty basic, but you don't technically have to do this. It's just good practice because sometimes the services aren't always going to be loaded in. So we're going to do local user input service, and we're also going to need replicated storage so we can access the remote event. So we'll do local replicated storage as well. So sorry for my slow typing. And then replicated storage. Yeah. We're also just going to get the player. This could just be useful. Actually, we don't really need the player. Never mind. Don't worry about that. Because when we're sending the, like through the remote event, it'll already get the player. So we don't need to get that. But we will do a cooldown because we don't want them to just spam time stop. I'll tell you how to change the cooldown time. So we're going to do user input service dot input began. Oh, my bad. Did I just say input? Input began. Connect function and then input. So this is a function of user input service. Whenever a player begins input, it'll activate this. Input began is an event that just triggers anytime any input, moving the mouse. I mean, I don't know if it's moving the mouse, but like right-clicking on the mouse, pressing any key on the keyboard, anything, it'll trigger the event. Doesn't know the specific key yet. The input is literally just, this is just if it's been pressed, but we can actually get the key code from this, which is which key. So if we do, I think input dot key code, it's input dot key code is equal to enum dot key code, and then this will be the key that you want it to activate on. So I'm not going to go over this too much, but you know, if you're probably familiar with enums if you're watching this. They're basically just presets done by Roblox, and key code is a preset. So you can just choose enum.keycode, which is a preset, and then e, which is also a preset. So this would basically mean, well, we wouldn't say, this is just to show you, we would do is equal to. We would basically, what I want to do here is I want to check, like, if they press E, then. And then for now, we'll just do, like, print, like, pressed E. And just see how this works. Oh. Keycode is not a valid member of input object. I'm gonna be completely serious. I have no idea why this works because I just rewrote the code. As you can see, I didn't change anything. I literally just rewrote that one line of code, and now if I hit play and I press E, it says pressed E. So maybe it was something on my end. If you get that error, I would literally just rewrite this code again. I don't know why that happened, but it seems to be okay. So we are also going to want to check, I forgot to mention, we're also going to want to check if the cooldown is equal to false. Because if they're on cooldown and it's equal to true, then we're not going to want to like trigger it because they are on cooldown. So we need to check that it's equal to false. So print pressed E. Yep. Now we're not gonna do the time stop on here. We're gonna send it to the remote event and then send it to the server and do it there. So we're gonna do replicated storage. Oh my god. Replicated storage. Time stop event. And then we can just do fire server. Yep. And just put player in here. So whenever you do player, it'll automatically fire the player. Wait, why is that highlighted? Oh yeah, I forgot. When you do that, it does automatically make the first one player, but you still have to actually define the player. So let's just do game.players.local player. Local player will always just be the player of a local script, but do keep in mind it only will work on local scripts. So now it's sending that player. I forgot to do that. My bad. So now it should fire to the server. And that basically, when that's programmed, they will stop time there. So we're going to put cooldowns equal to true after. Make sure you don't do the 2 equal sign, because we're not like saying it's like checking if it's equal to 2. We're setting it equal to true. And now we're going to wait. This would be however long you want your cooldown to be. I'm going to make it 2 seconds. And now it'll do cooldown equals false. So in 2 seconds it'll be true, and in 2 seconds it'll be false, and they can stop time again. So this is perfect. So now we're gonna add in. Let's do server script service. We'll do a script. I'm gonna rename this to time stop handler. Yeah, it just makes sense. Okay, so we should probably get our services. So local replicated storage equal to game get service replicated storage. And then now we're just basically when we receive the signal from our local script. So let's just do replicated storage dot time stop event. And then I believe it's on there it is on server event. And then this will send the player over. So wait, is that not what it? Am I being dumb? Oh, my bad. Yeah, my bad. We actually need to connect this to a function. We need to connect this to a function for it to work. And then in here we can put player. And yep, there we go. So that sound we added in before, we're gonna just do game. I'm not gonna make a variable for this. It's probably not necessary. Game.workspace.sound. TSI, my bad. And then we just do play. And my bad, let me actually make this have a sound in it. I already have the sound ID copy and pasted, I believe. No, I don't. Okay, let me get it. So here is a sound ID for a time stop. This is from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You're probably familiar. Let's be honest, if you're watching this tutorial, you're probably familiar with JoJo. But it's an anime and it has a great time stop. That's what it sounds like. I don't think it's perfect for this, so you can use that ID if you want. So it's going to play that. And actually, we can test this out right now. So when I press E, it plays the sound. I'm not sure how well you can hear that, but it does play the sound. So we'll also, if you know, this is optional, but I like this effect personally. I'm kind of going for like a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure effect, but this just looks good in general. We don't want it to look like we just froze all the players, so we're gonna make the lighting different, so it looks like the screen's dark. So I don't know why I did game.workspace, game.lighting, and then we're gonna actually, my mistake, I should have done this from the beginning. We're gonna need to add a color correction effect, and then we're gonna change the saturation, because when you change the saturation, it kind of looks like it's like time's been stopped in a way, you know? You can experiment with this. You could also change contrast. It might make it look a bit more realistic. I don't know. It's up to you. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to be changing saturation. So we're going to do game.lighting.color-correction.saturation is equal to 0. I'm pretty sure it's 0. Let me check. My bad. 0 is the default. I think it's -1. There we go. Now it's, when I press E, it turns like that, and it'll also play the sound. But right now, that's it. So we're going to need to get all the players, because we're going to make a table of all the players, and we're going to loop through that table. And basically, we're going to check if they're the person who stopped time, and if they're not the person who stopped time, we're going to anchor all their base parts. That way they can't move. So you'll see what that means when I type this out, but that's the idea of the script. So we're going to do game.players and then get players. So this is a really useful function that's already built into Roblox. It'll return a table of all the players that are there. My bad, I should have said local players. And I'm going to put this inside the server event, because when it's fired, I want the players at that time. If I put it at like outside, then it's going to get the players when this script is starting, which is probably 0 players because no one's loaded in yet. And it's not going to change. So every time it's fired, it's going to get the players. So that's why I'm declaring the variable inside. You can put it at the top, but I'm just going to put it here. It doesn't really matter. So now basically we're going to need to loop through this players, but only if that player, their user ID, we could do name, but I prefer user ID. It's just better in general, because what if maybe the person changes their name or something. In this case, name would work just fine, but I think it's a good habit to do user ID. So all we have to do is if, well actually, hold on, my bad. We have to loop through the table and do that. So we'll just do for IV in pairs, and then players. This is a table. Hopefully you're familiar with it, at least a little bit. These two can be whatever. They're just like placeholders, basically. And it's going to loop through each value of players. In other words, it's going to check each player and do whatever code is inside this loop. So actually, I'm going to rename it to for player in pairs, because that's what it is. V would be player. No, actually, that's a bad idea. My mistake. I didn't know I used player already. Since I already used player, I'm just vector 2. My bad. The auto tab thing got me. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it V because I already used player. So we're gonna do if v dot user ID is equal to player dot user ID. Oh, my bad. Okay, this is the like logic we want to use, but we should probably use not equal to. And basically, what's this checking is like the player. This player is the one who this player is the one up here who called the time stop. Basically, do I have my mouse hidden? Oh, my bad. This player is the one up here who basically is the one doing the time stop. So, and this V is going to be, it could be the player who's doing the time stop, but it's going to loop through all the players, and it might not be the player who's doing the time stop. So we're going to check if they're not equal to the player's user ID. Therefore, they're not the player who stopped time. So if they're not the player who stopped time, we want to freeze them. So how do we do that? Well, we can just anchor their body parts and they won't be able to move. You could also change their walk speed to 0 and get rid of their jump height, but the problem with this is you can still see their idle animation, and even if you turn off like the animation script, it'll actually still play the idle sometimes. So the best way to do it is just anchor all their body parts. So what you do here is let's do local body parts, and we're gonna need to get a table. Local body parts is equal to v.character, and then we need to do get descendants. And this is, so if you're familiar with get children, because it's pretty common, it gets all the children. Get descendants literally just gets all the descendants, so like everything. But we're gonna loop through this now for I, v. There's a lot of loops here, a lot of for loops here. But that's Lua in a nutshell, basically. So we're gonna loop through body parts. It's probably bad to name this body parts because technically it's not body parts, but it works. Do. And then we actually have to determine if it's a body part because a character can have accessories, it can have a bunch of stuff, and we don't really, some of those don't have anchor properties, and if they don't, then we can get an error if we try to anchor them. So we're going to want to make sure it's a base part. So what we can do for that is if, so let's do I, wait, no, my bad, it's V, my bad. I should probably change the name of this just to be more clear. For I body part in pairs, I just think that makes more sense. If body part, then we can do, this is a built-in function, is a, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's literally checking if it's that, as, I mean, it's, the name kind of sets it all, is a, base part. So if it's a base part, then we're going to want to make it anchored. So we're going to do body part dot anchored equals true. Okay, so now when we press the button, everyone but the player who presses the button should get frozen. However, we're only one person, so we're gonna have to go to test and this. So unfortunately, because I'm by myself, I can't have someone else play, but I can do the server, so I can't have them moving at the same time, but we're just gonna basically look at this other player and see if his animation stops. You see how he's like subtly moving? Let's see if that stops. Yep, as you can see, he's completely stopped. He's not moving at all now. While I can still move just fine. So we've got it. Now, of course, I mean, we could do a button to turn it off, but for this, I'm doing it like a timer-based thing. Maybe last 5 seconds. I'll tell you how to make it last however long you want, but it should be pretty easy to figure out. So let me close the server. And now we just literally, this is it. But now we're going to have to do a wait for however long I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do it, I think, out here is probably good. Wait. And then let's say the time stops 5 seconds, right? Then we're gonna need to basically just undo all this. You can literally copy and paste this. Just do this, and then just turn the saturation back to 0. Yeah, you could do the exact same thing. Although I probably wouldn't get this again because you already have the players. Just go ahead and take that out. And of course we're gonna have to add the ends. I cannot spell, damn. And yeah, that's basically it. Of course, we're gonna have to change this to be false. But I think that'll work now. Wait, the cooldown shorter than the time stop duration. Let me make the cooldown 10 seconds. That just makes a lot more sense, honestly. So here we go. I got the game. Just close the game. Okay, I got the game. So if I stop time, it should last for 5 seconds, and we'll just wait for his animation. We'll just look and see if his animation like stops. So as you can see, his animation stopped. I can still move, and if we wait 5 seconds, it's back to normal, and his animation has resumed again. So unfortunately, I can't have him moving around, but trust me, if he was running, he would stop completely. So that's how you do the tutorial. Did I just say that's how you... Well, I mean, I'm not wrong, but I mean, that's how you make a time stop effect. Yeah, sorry, this is my first video, so I'm not very, like, good at talking yet. But I hope this helped you, and just numbers to change. If you want to make the effects more intense, you can experiment with, like, the color correction. Wait, this will increase the time stop duration. You can make this 0.5, and that's how long the time stop will be. And this is the cooldown, so you could take this out even, but I'm gonna do wait 2. No, I'm gonna do wait 1.5, and now I'll sort of have like a really fast time stop. I'll just show you that real quick. Why not? It's a cool effect. Okay, so now it's just a really short time stop. Yep, so that's it. See ya.